When it comes to lights, I think by now I can give you a rundown on what's good, should you buy it, the pros and cons, you know the drill. This is the Visico LED ATR. Alright, so another RGB light in the studio. Why? Firstly, let's talk about Visico. These guys make lights for video as well as photography, and some of their lights that they have, especially on the photography side, are insanely powerful. Now, this light is a video light, and that doesn't mean you can't do photos with it. It's just more geared towards video than it is for photography. However, once you hit RGB mode, it's full photography creative freedom. And there is one specific point on this light that I absolutely love, and I'm going to save that till the end. So let's get straight to the meat of this. Modes. It has a CCT mode, meaning you can go from 2700 Kelvin all the way up to 6500 Kelvin. And it's pretty decent for an affordable light. I didn't get a green or magenta color shift because on the light, you can't actually adjust the green and magenta like some very, very high-end lights. But that's probably because it has a CRI of 97 plus and a TLCI of 97 plus. Now, for those that are wondering, that basically means it's as close to perfect as it can be, even for a far more expensive light. It does have an RGB mode, meaning you can select any color on the 360-degree RGB spectrum, including the saturation of the color. Finally, it has 12 different modes, like the hue cycle, lightning, TV, fireworks, police car. Pretty much the standard 12 modes that you get on most lights. Power. Now, this is probably the most crucial part of any light. Now, this isn't a $500, 1000 watt sun blaring beast. But when buying a light like this, I recommend creators to use this as your secondary light, your kicker light, your creative light. Now, although yes, you can definitely use this as a main light or a key light. I mean, just look at this. These are my camera settings, and as a main light, as you lift the brightness, you can quickly see that under normal camera settings that you would use in an ordinary environment, the light is bright enough in CCT mode to give you more than the average creative is gonna need. Also, the power does go from 0 to 100 in 1% increments. But where the power of this light shines is the RGB mode. I tested this light against another 80 watt RGB light, and this light is far brighter. Now, you may not see it so well in the video, but in person you can clearly see that there's just so much color that comes out of the Visico light. Build quality and design. Unlike a lot of budget lights that I've tested in the past, I've highlighted the build quality that sometimes is not so good, certain things break, and they're usually very plastic. Now, although the Visico light is plastic, it doesn't give you that cheap feel. One part on build quality is the adjustable mechanism over here, which some people refer to as a yoke. Most affordable lights tend to sag once you've tightened it up, so with a heavy softbox on the front, you'd have to almost over tighten it just so that the light wouldn't dip in the front. And that usually leads to the mount actually stripping on the inside. The Visico is completely solid. Also on the handle, it's actually got a little bit of a finger grip. Now, this is the part that usually sits down onto a light stand, but if you do take it off, you could give this to your assistant because it is quite comfy to hold, being a grip, and they could actually direct the light for you where you need it. Now, the back consists of 3 simple buttons: a mode button, a set button, and a turning knob just to adjust. Simple, easy, and fast. But wait, yes, there's more. On top of the light, you can pop this cover off, which allows you to add 2 NPF batteries in case you don't want to use wall power. Now, the thing is with the NPF batteries and most lights like this that have this new style feature of choosing between wall power or batteries, is they don't allow you to go to full brightness, so they'll usually stop at 75 or 80%. The Visico light does allow you to use full 100% capacity of the light, even with the NPF batteries in. Now, I don't know if this is just due to the fact that it is an 80 watt light, but it is important to point that out, because whether you're using wall power or batteries, you're not limited. Switching between wall power and battery is a simple switch from what they call AC to off to DC. And for my absolute favorite, saving the best for last, and every light should be like this. This light uses an ordinary, what we call a kettle cord. So unlike most lights that have this kind of switching adapter or ballast, if you will, some people call them, that hangs on the light, this just uses an ordinary kettle cord plugged straight into the back. Now that is probably what makes this light a fraction larger than most lights. However, it's not a lot at all. But the fact that you don't have to worry about finding a cable that fits for which light is brilliant. Lately, I've been taking my lights everywhere and packing them up from the studio and moving them to a different location and making sure that I have the correct power supply for every single light, and it becomes quite painful. Packing in 2 or 3 simple cables is a lot easier. Not only that, is these cables are accessible from any ordinary DIY store, and you can pick whatever length you need. Now, I'm not sure what the limitation of the design would be and how important that adapter is when you get more power out of a light. But if light manufacturers could avoid that and just run an ordinary cable, and we had to sacrifice a little bit of extra size in the light, I personally, for one, wouldn't mind at all. Okay, so in true fashion from the channel, what is the con of this light? It cannot be all good. And well, you're right. That would be this. The reflector of the Visico light isn't great at all. It creates quite a solid hot spot in the middle. Now, is it a bad thing? Well, I for one have a couple of these reflectors, and because it's a standard Bowens mount, it's pretty easy to pick up very good reflectors that you could just swap out. But I have to put it out there because it is one thing that I noticed when I put the reflector on and used it. Oh yes, and because you are saving a bunch of money, this light retails for around 5,000 Rand. I'll put the US dollar price in over here. You don't get a bag with the light. Now that might be a deal breaker for you. However, a lot of photographers and videographers in this industry, we've got these large bags on wheels, and popping this in there is pretty simple, especially because you just need one power cord. So what's the verdict? Should you as a creator be spending your hard-earned money on the Visico LED ATR light? For an affordable 80 watt RGB creative light, this is currently one of the best creative lights I have tested. Value for money, basic features, a very good CCT. App controlled, yes, you can download the app, but if you watch my channel, you'll know I generally stay away from the apps just because I find it easier to just turn the knob. But most importantly, a solid build quality, which is something that's going to last on set. I have recently broken 2 lights, so something like this that is quite tough and rugged is very welcomed. I will be reviewing the Visico 300 watt light. Now Visico does boast a lot of power out of that light, so make sure to come back to the channel or just subscribe and turn on the bell so you can watch that video when it drops. I will put a link in the description below where you can pick up the Visico LED ADR. That's it from me. Wherever you are in the world, have a good day, good evening, good night. Goodbye.